I thought I had the perfect family until a mountain of debt and some slick doctors showed up to tear it all apart. My name's David Miller, 38, just a regular guy trying to keep it together in a cookie-cutter suburban house outside Austin. Picture it, white picket fence, a swing set in the backyard, and the smell of Sarah's lasagna wafting through the house on Sunday nights. Sounds like the American dream, right? But every dream's got its cracks, and mine were starting to show. It's funny how you don't notice the ground shifting until you're already falling. Sarah and I, we've been married 12 years. 2 kids, Emily, 10, and Ethan, 7. Those kids, man, they're my whole world. Emily's got this laugh that could light up a blackout. And Ethan's always got some wild story about fighting dragons in the backyard. We'd have these game nights, sprawled out on the living room floor with Monopoly or Clue, Sarah cheating at dice rolls and me pretending to be mad. For a couple of hours, I could forget the weight on my shoulders. But when the kids went to bed and the house got quiet, reality crept in like a thief. See, I've been carrying this anchor around for years. A $120,000 debt from a business venture that went belly up. Back in my early 30s, I thought I could be the next big thing. Quit my office job, sink every dime we had into a tech startup. Spoiler alert, it crashed and burned, lost the investment, lost my confidence, and damn near lost Sarah's trust. She never said it out loud, but I saw it in her eyes sometimes, like she was looking at a guy who'd let her down. I went back to a desk job, crunching numbers for some faceless corporation, but the debt followed us like a shadow. Every month I'd sit at the kitchen table, lights off so I wouldn't wake anybody, staring at bills I couldn't pay. Car payment, $450. Mortgage, $2,100. Credit cards? Don't even ask. It was like trying to bail out a sinking ship with a teaspoon. Sarah knew about the debt, but we didn't talk about it. Not really. I'd bring it up, and she'd get this look, like she was bracing for a punch. "We'll figure it out, David," she'd say, then change the subject. I didn't push. I was too scared of seeing that disappointment in her eyes again. I felt like Atlas holding up the world, but the world was slipping. Ever feel like you're failing the people you love most, and there's nothing you can do but keep pretending? Then Sarah started changing. It was subtle at first, like a song going out of tune. She'd always been the warm one, quick with a smile, always touching my arm when she laughed. But lately, she was distant. She'd sit on the couch, scrolling her phone, barely hearing me when I talked. I'd ask about her day, and she'd give me these short, clipped answers. Fine, busy, you know. Her eyes, man, they used to light up when she looked at me. Now they were somewhere else, like she was staring through me to some other life. I told myself it was just stress. She worked at a bank, long hours, dealing with asshole customers all day. Plus, she was probably as freaked out about the money as I was. But deep down, my gut was screaming, something's wrong. One night, over dinner, spaghetti, because it's cheap and the kids love it, she mentioned this guy, Dr. Eric Stone. Her doctor said he'd been really helpful when she went in for a checkup. "He's easy to talk to," she said, twirling her fork. "Listens, you know?" I didn't think much of it at first. Just nodded, took a sip of my beer, but the way she said his name, like it meant something, stuck with me. I tried to shake it off. I mean, come on. A doctor? Probably some gray-haired guy with a stethoscope, right? But my brain wouldn't let it go. Was she talking to him outside appointments? Why'd she need someone else to listen when she had me? A week later, shit hit the fan over something stupid. Ethan wanted this $30 toy, a plastic dinosaur that roared or some crap. I said, sure, why not? Kid's been good. But Sarah snapped, "David, we can't just throw money around. What about the savings?" Her voice was sharp, like a knife cutting through the room. The kids froze, looking between us. I felt my face burn. She was right. But damn, did she have to say it like that? "Fine," I muttered, shoving the dinosaur back on the shelf. The rest of the shopping trip was silent. In the car, I kept replaying her words. Savings? What savings? We were barely keeping our heads above water. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Sarah's face, the way she wouldn't meet my eyes. I grabbed my phone, almost texted her even though she was asleep right next to me. "What's going on with you?" I wanted to ask. "Are we okay?" But I didn't. Instead, I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like a stranger in my own house. Ever had that gut punch moment where you know something's off, but you're too scared to face it? That was me, clinging to the idea that we were fine, that Sarah was just stressed, that this Eric guy was nothing. But the first time she said his name, I had no idea he was about to blow my life to pieces. I didn't know the worst was coming. The day I'd lose my job, and everything I'd built would start crumbling. The day I lost my job was the day I realized my life was a house of cards, and someone had just flicked the first one. I'm David Miller, 38, and up until that Monday morning, I thought I could still hold my family together. But when your boss calls you into a conference room with a cardboard box already packed, you know the ground's about to disappear. "Budget cuts," he said, not even looking me in the eye. "Nothing personal, David." Bullshit. I walked out of that office feeling like I'd been punched in the gut, my tie choking me, my whole world spinning. I sat in my car in the parking lot, staring at the dashboard thinking, how the hell do I tell Sarah? I drove home in a daze, the Austin traffic blurring past like a bad dream. Sarah was at work, the kids at school, and our house sat there, quiet, mocking me with its white picket fence and $2,100 mortgage I couldn't pay. I dropped my box of office crap, pens, a coffee mug, a photo of Emily and Ethan on the kitchen table, and just stood there. That $120,000 debt from my failed startup was already a noose around my neck. And now this. I felt like a failure, not just as a husband, but as a man. Sarah's face flashed in my mind, those eyes that used to love me, now cold, disappointed. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was sink into a chair and bury my face in my hands. Ever lose something that makes you feel like you're nothing? Sarah got home around 6, her heels clicking on the hardwood. I was still at the table, the photo of the kids staring back at me. "David, you're home early," she said, her voice flat, like she already knew something was wrong. I forced the words out. "I got laid off." Her face froze, and for a second I thought she'd yell or cry. Instead, she just nodded, like she'd been expecting it. "Okay," she said, setting her purse down. "We'll figure it out." But her eyes, God, her eyes. They screamed, "You've let me down again." She didn't say another word, just walked upstairs. I heard the bedroom door close, soft but final, like a judge's gavel. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while Sarah slept, or pretended to. Her phone was on the nightstand, screen dark, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. She'd been glued to that thing lately, her fingers flying over the keys, a ghost of a smile on her face. Not for me, though. Never for me anymore. I kept hearing her voice from a week ago, talking about that doctor, Eric Stone. "He's easy to talk to," she'd said. I'd brushed it off then, but now it was like a splinter in my brain. Was she texting him? Laughing with him? While I was drowning, was she turning to some other guy to save her? The next few days were hell. I started job hunting, firing off resumes to every listing on Indeed, but my heart wasn't in it. Sarah was pulling away, and it was killing me. She'd come home late, saying she had meetings. She'd sit on the couch, texting, her face lit up by the screen. One night, I heard her laugh, a real laugh, the kind she used to save for me. I leaned over, casual as I could. "What's so funny?" She flinched, like I'd caught her stealing, and locked her phone. "Nothing, just a coworker." But her voice was too quick, too sharp. My stomach twisted. "Who's making you laugh, Sarah?" I wanted to grab that phone and see for myself, but I didn't. Not yet. It got worse. She started mentioning Eric more, like he was some kind of saint. "Eric says stress can mess with your health," she'd say. Or, "Eric thinks we should try yoga." Eric says, Eric thinks. Every time his name came up, it was like a jab to the ribs. I started picturing him, tall, polished, probably wearing one of those white coats that scream money and confidence. Everything I wasn't. I tried talking to her, really talking, but she'd shut me down. "I'm tired, David," she'd snap. Or, "Can we not do this now?" I was losing her, and I didn't know how to stop it. Ever feel someone slipping through your fingers, no matter how hard you hold on? I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know who this guy was. So I made an appointment at his clinic, told the receptionist I needed a checkup, but really I just wanted to size him up. The place was fancy. Marble floors, soft jazz playing, the kind of office that screams, "I'm better than you." Eric came out, and damn, he was exactly what I'd feared. Mid-40s, fit, with a smile like a used car salesman. "David, right?" he said, shaking my hand, his grip just a little too firm. "Sarah's told me about you." That hit me like a brick. What'd she say? That I'm a screw-up? That I can't keep her happy? I mumbled something about my blood pressure, but I was barely listening as he rattled off medical jargon. His eyes had this glint, like he knew he was getting under my skin. "You need anything, David?" "Sarah says you've been stressed." He said it with a smirk, like he was daring me to swing. I wanted to wipe that look off his face, but I just stood there, fists clenched, feeling like a chump. "I'm fine," I said, and walked out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying his words, that smug grin. I grabbed my laptop and started digging. Google, Reddit, anything I could find on Eric Stone. Took a while, but I hit pay dirt. An old local news article about his messy divorce. His ex-wife called him emotionally abusive. Then, on some shady Reddit thread about local doctors, a user claimed he'd hit on a patient, crossing lines he shouldn't. No proof, just rumors, but it was enough to light a fire in me. This guy wasn't just a doctor. He was a predator, and Sarah was in his sights. I sat there in the dark, my laptop screen glowing, my heart pounding. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting for my family. But how do you fight when the person you love doesn't even see you? Sarah was slipping away, and Eric was the one pulling her. I had to do something, anything, to stop him, but the truth was staring me in the face. I was out of a job, out of money, and maybe out of time. I was living two lives, and both were tearing me apart. By day, I was David Miller, the dad who packed lunches and drove Emily and Ethan to school, cracking dumb jokes to make them laugh. By night, I was a ghost in my own house, sitting in the dark, wondering if my wife was still mine. I'm 38, and I never thought I'd be here. Jobless, drowning in $100,000 to $20,000 of debt, and fighting to keep Sarah from slipping away to some slick doctor named Eric Stone. The worst part? I was fighting alone. Mornings were my shield. I'd wake up early, make pancakes for the kids. Ethan liked his with extra syrup. Emily wanted hers cut into perfect triangles. I'd drop them off at school, waving like everything was fine, like their dad wasn't falling apart. I'd started a new gig, a temp job, entering data for some insurance company. It paid half what I used to make, but it kept the lights on, barely. I'd sit at my desk, staring at spreadsheets, but my mind was somewhere else. Sarah's face, her phone, that laugh she gave him. Not me. Ever try to focus when your whole world's crumbling? Nights were worse. When the kids were asleep, the house got too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Sarah would come home late, muttering about work, her eyes dodging mine. I'd try to talk, ask about her day, but it was like shouting into a void. "I'm fine, David," she'd say, her voice sharp. Then she'd disappear to the bedroom or bury herself in her phone. I'd sit on the couch, a warm Lone Star beer in my hand, staring at the TV without seeing it. My brain kept looping. Is she texting him? What's he saying to make her smile? I'd think about that Reddit post I found, the one calling Eric a creep who hit on patients. I'd think about his smirk when I met him at his clinic, like he knew he was winning. I wanted to confront her, to shake her, and yell, "What the hell's going on?" But I didn't. I was too scared of the answer. One night, I tried to fix it. I was desperate, clinging to the idea that I could pull her back. I planned a date night like we used to have before the debt, before Eric. I got a babysitter, made a reservation at this little Italian place we loved. Nothing fancy, just good pasta and cheap wine. I even put on a clean shirt, the one Sarah used to say made my eyes pop. When she got home, I was waiting by the door, nervous as a teenager. "Let's go out," I said, holding up the car keys. "Just us." She looked at me, surprised, then hesitated. My heart sank. "Come on, Sarah," I said, forcing a smile. "We need this." She agreed, but it felt like a favor. At the restaurant, I tried everything. I apologized for the debt, for losing my job, for not being the guy she married. "I know I've screwed up," I said, my voice low so the couple at the next table wouldn't hear. "But I'm trying, Sarah. I love you." She softened a little, her eyes meeting mine for the first time in weeks. "I know you're trying," she said, reaching for my hand. "I'm sorry too. I'll try harder." For a second, I believed her. We laughed a little, talked about the kids, even reminisced about our honeymoon in Galveston, how we got sunburned and ate shrimp straight from a bucket. It felt like us again. But then I saw it. Her phone was on the table, face down, but it buzzed. She glanced at it, quick, then flipped it over like it was nothing. My stomach twisted. "Who's that?" I asked, keeping my tone light. "Just work," she said, too fast, and picked up her wine glass. I didn't push, but the moment was gone. The rest of dinner was quiet, like we were both playing parts in a play we didn't believe in. When we got home, she kissed my cheek and went to bed. I stayed up, replaying that buzz, that glance. She's lying, my gut screamed. But my heart wanted to believe her promise to try. A few days later, I brought up Eric. We were in the kitchen, cleaning up after dinner. The kids were upstairs, their laughter drifting down. I took a deep breath. "Sarah, maybe you should see a different doctor," I said, scrubbing a plate so hard I thought it'd break. "Eric, I don't know. He seems too involved." Her face changed, like a door slamming shut. "He's my doctor, David," she snapped. "He's helping me. Why does it bother you so much?" I froze, the sponge dripping in my hand. "Because you're different," I said, my voice shaking. "You're pulling away, and I'm not stupid." She stared at me, her eyes hard, then turned and walked out. I heard her grab her phone, then the front door clicked shut. She didn't come back for 2 hours. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I waited until she was asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand. I picked it up, my hands shaking, and typed in her passcode. Our anniversary, 0412. The screen lit up, and there it was. A text from Eric. "Meet me tonight, 8. Just us. Sent 3 hours ago." My heart stopped. I scrolled up, my breath catching. Nothing explicit, but the tone. Flirty, intimate. "You deserve better," he'd written a week ago. "I'm here for you." I wanted to smash the phone, to wake her up and scream, "How could you?" But I just stood there, the light from the screen burning my eyes, feeling like my life was slipping away. I put the phone back and went to the kids' room. Emily and Ethan were asleep, their faces soft, innocent. Emily had her stuffed unicorn clutched tight. Ethan was sprawled out, one sock missing. I sat on the floor between their beds, listening to their breathing. They were why I was still fighting. I couldn't let them grow up in a broken home. Couldn't let Eric tear us apart. I won't lose them, I thought. I won't lose us. But how do you fight for someone who's already halfway gone? Ever stand at the edge of losing everything and wonder if it's even worth the fight? I started planning. I'd already dug up dirt on Eric, that divorce, that Reddit post. But I needed more. Something undeniable. I thought about following him, checking his clinic, anything to prove he was the snake I knew he was. But every step felt like a betrayal of Sarah, like I was admitting she'd already crossed a line. I was torn. Part of me wanted to save her. Part of me wanted to walk away. Should I just let her go? I asked myself. night after night. Is this even a marriage anymore? The truth was, I was fighting a war nobody else could see. Sarah was slipping, Eric was circling, and I was running out of time. That text, "Meet me tonight," changed everything. It was a line in the sand, and I had to decide. Keep pretending or start fighting for real. I had proof, and it was burning a hole in my pocket. I'm David Miller, 38, and I'd been fighting a losing battle to save my marriage from a doctor named Eric Stone, who'd wormed his way into my wife Sarah's life. With $120,000 in debt, no steady job, and Sarah slipping further away, I was at my breaking point. But that text I saw on her phone, "Meet me tonight, 8, just us," lit a fire in me. I wasn't just fighting for love anymore. I was fighting for my family, for Emily and Ethan, for the life we'd built, and I finally had something to fight with. I'd been digging on Eric for weeks, ever since I found that Reddit post calling him out for hitting on patients. The rumors about his messy divorce and emotional abuse were a start, but I needed more. Something Sarah couldn't ignore. I started watching him, not proud of it, but desperate. I'd park near his clinic in my beat-up Honda, the one with the squeaky brakes, and just wait. I felt like a creep, sipping gas station coffee, my eyes glued to his glass-fronted office. Then, one evening, I got lucky. I saw him through the window, leaning too close to a woman in the waiting room, his hand brushing her arm, her face uncomfortable. My gut said, "That's it." I grabbed my phone, but the angle was bad. I needed something solid. That's when I remembered the dash cam in my car. It was a cheap thing, bought after a fender bender last year, but it recorded video. I started driving by his clinic every chance I got, parking just close enough to catch the entrance. Days passed, nothing. I was losing hope, starting to think I was paranoid. But then, last Thursday, I hit the jackpot. I was parked across the street, the sun dipping low, when Eric walked out with another woman, not Sarah. She looked young, maybe 30, nervous. He was all smiles, guiding her to her car, his hand on her lower back. Then he leaned in, whispering something, and she froze, stepping back. His face changed, sharp, almost angry, before he laughed it off and walked away. The dashcam caught it all, the touch, her reaction, his shift from charm to something darker. I played it back right there, my heart pounding. "Got you, you bastard." I didn't sleep that night. I kept watching the footage, every second making me angrier. This wasn't just about Sarah anymore. This guy was a pattern, a predator hiding behind a white coat. I knew showing Sarah would break her heart, but it was the only way to make her see. I waited until Friday night, after the kids were in bed. Sarah was in the living room, scrolling her phone, her face lit up by the screen. I felt sick, knowing she might be texting him. "Sarah," I said, my voice steady, despite the storm inside me, "we need to talk." She looked up, annoyed, but I didn't give her a chance to brush me off. I sat down, my laptop open, the dashcam footage paused on the screen. "You need to see this." Her eyes narrowed. "What is this, David?" I hit play. The video rolled. Eric, the woman, the touch, her flinch, his fake laugh. Sarah's face went pale, her mouth half open. When it ended, she didn't move, just stared at the black screen. That can't be him," she whispered, but her voice cracked. I didn't let up. "It is him, Sarah. I saw it myself. And it's not the first time. There's stories online, his divorce, other patients. He's not who you think." She shook her head, fast, like she could shake the truth away. "You're wrong. You're just jealous." Her voice rose, sharp, defensive. I wanted to yell back, to shake her, but I kept calm. "Sarah, he's using you. Like he used her, like he used his ex-wife. Open your eyes." That's when she broke. Her face crumpled, and she covered her mouth, a sob choking out. No, I didn't." She dropped her phone, her hands shaking. "I thought he cared. I thought—" She trailed off, tears streaming down her face. I felt my anger crack, replaced by a hollow ache. I wanted to hate her, but seeing her like that, just a woman who'd been conned, who'd been vulnerable. It hurt. "What did you do, Sarah?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked at me, her eyes raw, and the words spilled out. "Nothing happened. Not really." He listened. He made me feel seen. I was so tired, David, with the debt, with everything, but I swear, I didn't cross that line. I believed her. Maybe I was a fool, but I did. Her pain was real. Her shame was real. She slid off the couch, kneeling in front of me, grabbing my hands. "I'm so sorry, David. I was stupid. I was lost. Please, please don't hate me." Her voice broke, and she was sobbing now, her head bowed. I felt my own eyes burn. Part of me wanted to pull away, to let the hurt win. But another part, the part that remembered her, laugh, our kids, our life, couldn't. I slid down next to her, my knees hitting the carpet. "I don't hate you," I said, my voice thick. "But this, it's got to stop. Him, the secrets, all of it." She nodded, tears dripping onto the floor. "I know. I'm done. I'll stop." We sat there on the living room floor, the silence heavy but different now. Not the silence of distance, but the silence of two people who'd just survived a storm. I didn't know if we could fix this. Not really. The trust was cracked, the pain still raw. But for the first time in months, I felt like we were on the same side. "What now?" she asked, her voice small. I took a deep breath. "We figure it out, together, but Eric's gone. For good." She nodded, wiping her face. "I'll block him, I promise." Oh, I helped her up, and we stood there, not quite touching, but close. The laptop was still open. The frozen image of Eric's face staring back like a ghost. I closed it, shutting him out. Sarah picked up her phone, her fingers trembling, and I watched as she opened her messages, found his name, and hit block. It was a small thing, but it felt like a wall coming down. "I'm so sorry," she said again, looking at me like she was afraid I'd vanish. I didn't say anything, just nodded. Words felt too heavy right now. We went to bed that night, not holding each other, but not miles apart either. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the weight of everything pressing down. We'd exposed Eric, and Sarah had seen the truth, but the road ahead was still blurry. Could we rebuild? Could I forgive her, really? I didn't know. But for the first time, in a long time, I felt a spark of hope. We were standing at a crossroads. Fix this or let it go? And I wasn't ready to let go. We chose to fight, but let me tell you, it wasn't a fairy tale. I'm David Miller, 38, and after exposing that snake, Eric Stone, for what he was, Sarah and I were left picking up the pieces of our marriage. The $120,000 debt still loomed. My temp job barely covered the bills, and trust? That was a fragile thread, but for Emily and Ethan, for the life we'd dreamed of, we decided to try. It was messy, painful, and real, just like us. First things first, we cut Eric out for good. Sarah blocked his number that night, her fingers shaking as she did it, but I wasn't taking chances. The next day, we drafted a letter to the Texas Medical Board, attaching the dashcam footage of Eric getting too cozy with that patient. I described the Reddit rumors, his divorce, everything I dug up. "This guy's a predator," I wrote, my pen digging into the paper. We mailed it, certified, and I felt a weight lift. Not just for us, but for every woman he might have targeted. Sarah looked at me as we dropped it in the mailbox. "I'm sorry, I didn't see it," she said. I just nodded. It's done. Fixing us was harder. We started marriage counseling, driving 20 minutes every Wednesday to a small office with a sagging couch and a therapist named Linda. She didn't sugarcoat it. "You've both got work to do," she said, her glasses perched on her nose. "David, you've been bottling up your fears. Sarah, you sought escape instead of facing the problem." It stung, but she was right. Those sessions were brutal. Sarah crying as she admitted how lost she'd felt, me choking out how her distance gutted me. We talked about the debt, my failed startup, her late nights at the bank. Linda made us write down one thing we loved about each other every week. Mine was always Sarah's laugh. Hers was my stubbornness. "You're still here," she wrote once. "That's enough." Money was still a chokehold. My temp job paid $18 an hour, not enough for a family of 4 in Austin. So I started freelancing on the side, data entry gigs, or even some basic coding from my startup days. I'd work after the kids were asleep, my laptop glowing in the kitchen, a warm Lone Star beside me. Sarah and I sat down one night with a legal pad and faced the beast. $2,100 mortgage, $450 car payment, $800 in credit cards, and that damn $120,000 debt. We made a plan, cut cable, pack lunches, no more eating out. We sold my old golf clubs for $200, Sarah's designer bags for $300. It wasn't much, but every dollar felt like a step. One night, I checked our bank account and saw $1,200 in savings. First time we'd had a buffer in years. Sarah saw it too, and we just grinned, no words needed. The real healing was in the small stuff. One evening, we were washing dishes. Me scrubbing, her drying, like we did when we were newlyweds. Our hands brushed, and she didn't pull away. We started talking, really talking, about dumb things. Ethan's obsession with dinosaurs, Emily's new dance moves. Then Sarah paused, a plate dripping in her hand. "I choose you, David," she said, her voice quiet but sure. "Every day, I choose you." I looked at her, soap suds on my fingers, and felt something settle in my chest. I grabbed her hand, wet and all, and held it. "Me too," I said. It wasn't fireworks, but it was us. We're not perfect. Some days I catch myself wondering if she's really over Eric. Some nights she gets quiet, and I know she's carrying guilt. But we're here, fighting for Emily's giggles, Ethan's stories, and that little house with the creaky porch. Love's not a feeling, it's a choice. One we make every damn day. And when I look at Sarah now, drying dishes or reading to the kids, I see the woman I fell for. Not perfect, but mine. This isn't the end of our story. It's a new beginning, rough edges and all.